Hey there, everyone. What is going on? I hope you're having an amazing day. So, welcome back to the Organizedpreneur podcast, where we help you to get organized, to get heard, and get leads. And this is done through podcasting, purposeful podcasting, and smart business systems. So my name is Aldreama Harper. I am your host. I am a podcast launch strategist and efficiency architect. Got to get used to saying that because I just recently discovered that that's actually what I do. I help you with your efficiency in your business and your podcasting. So welcome to the show. All right. So today we're going to be talking about something that just might kind of flip your entire podcast strategy upside down. And I know that I've talked about this before, but I felt the need to, for whatever reason, talk about it again because every time I share, something, whether it's like the same topic or what have you, I may say it a different way. So if you've heard this before, just listen in for maybe some new insight. Okay. Or something maybe I said a little bit differently. Or maybe you haven't heard it and you thought, well, I'll listen, I'll check this out. Okay, we'll check it out. And see, let me see what she's talking about. Hear what she's talking about. Anyway, so I'm going to say this. Now, I know I've said this part before, okay? Downloads do not pay the bills. Downloads do not pay the bills. You know what pays the bills? Conversations. So if you are launching your podcast and you are looking at, you're obsessively looking at the number of downloads that you have, and it's like you track them every week. You compare them to all of the industry standards. And then when the growth slows down, you get a little bit discouraged, even though you're continuing to put in all of the work. Well, my friend, downloads don't pay the bills. Conversations do. You can have 5,000 downloads per episode and no clients. Or you can have 200 downloads and a full wait list. And so the difference isn't popularity. It's all about strategy. Because I view, and this is just me personally, not all podcast launch strategists, feel the same way, There are people that have different opinions about it. And I'm not saying that you won't get, clients from having 5,000 downloads. Some people do. But what I'm saying is if you focus on the downloads, you're focusing on what I like to call vanity metrics. Download numbers are like vanity metrics dressed up as success indicators. They make you feel good, right? But they don't always translate into revenue. That's the thing. So, obsessing over downloads, that's not going to get you what you want, right? When you build your podcast around downloads, you're optimizing your reach. But when you build it around conversations, you are optimizing your revenue. Let that sink in, okay? Because it's the conversations, baby, okay? It's the conversations that you have. People, when they talk to you and they have a conversation with you, whether it's in person or whether it's virtual, those are the things that make the difference. That's what makes the difference, are the conversations that you have, right? And these two goals require completely different systems. So in my launch, hosting, grow method, I teach people something that I call the conversation rate. Now, this is the metric that actually matters, the conversation. Okay, so this might be, someone booking a call. Maybe they download a lead magnet. maybe a checklist or something that you have and put that in your show notes. It might be them joining your email list or even replying to a question that you asked in the episode, right? But because your podcast isn't just a broadcasting platform, I want you to consider this as a relationship building system. And I know I've talked about this before because I have a whole framework around it, but that's not why we're here right now, right? When you start reviewing or when you start viewing your show, your podcast this way, everything changes. When you start looking at it as a relationship building system, everything changes because you stop chasing the algorithm and you start nurturing the people you are called to serve. Okay. You're called to serve people. And so even one of the things that I feel like, God is telling me to do right now is just to not focus on, and actually I never have really focused on the download, but to focus more on conversations. And so I offer complimentary strategy sessions so that we can have a conversation, not to sell you anything, but at least to build the relationship, right? And there's also a faith-based principle in this because faithfulness is not measured by the crowd size. Like you don't have to have a big crowd. It's really measured by the depth of the impact. In fact, Colossians 3 and 23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. And so that doesn't mean that you're building the biggest audience or you're going viral, on Spotify or YouTube or whatever platform you're using. It really means showing up consistently with excellence and authenticity for the people that God has entrusted to you. And that's what I'm focused on moving forward. I'm not saying that I wasn't focused on it, but I'm way more intentional now in showing up consistently with excellence and authenticity for the people that God has called me or has entrusted to me. So don't despise small beginnings. If 20 people listen to your episode this week, so be it. Just imagine that there are 20 people sitting across from you in your living room or in your office or in your small conference room, virtual conference room. And you show up and you just pour into them, right? That's the kind of impact that multiplies. I have scheduled training sessions where no one showed up. And guess what? I still go on with the show. I still go on like there's 20 people listening to me because at some point, maybe over a period of time, it has added up to 20 people. Basically, what I'm saying is I am not focused on the big crowds. That's just not how I roll. So what I want you to do is just kind of shift your mindset or shift how you are measuring your podcasts, right? And your metrics. What I want you to do this week, okay, is start tracking your conversation rate. Because I'm going to tell you right now, what happened to me is when I started focusing on conversations, then my calendar started to get fuller. Starting to get fuller. Yeah. And so what I want you to do, I want you to start tracking your conversation rates instead of your downloads. Now, in order to do that, you have to pick one clear call to action for your next episode. Just one. Mine right now is offering people a complimentary strategy session. And when you leave the call, you will have a strategy. You will have at least one strategy. Because my intention and my goal for the call is that you have a strategy, something that you can implement right away. Okay. So have just one call to action. Make it clear, like download my free guide or join my email list or book a discovery call. Then I want you to track how many actually take you up on that step, take you up on that offer. Okay. If you have 100 downloads and 2 people book calls, that's a 2% conversion rate. If you have 1,000 downloads and 5 people book calls, then that's only point 5. Smaller podcast is actually more valuable, in my humble opinion. So from this point forward, you want to optimize your podcast around that metric. And so that means you are going to focus on your topic episodes, your call to action, your email follow ups, and even your show notes. Those are the things that you want to focus on. Build systems that turn listeners into leads, not just plays into numbers, because it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Again, this is my humble opinion, and this has been my experience from podcasting. So from this point forward, again, optimize your podcast around that metric. Your episode topics, your calls to action, your email follow-ups, even your show notes, and build a system that turns your listeners into leads that way, not just plays and numbers. Because when you stop chasing downloads and you start building conversation, that is the real win. That's when everything shifts because your content becomes more focused, right? Your audience becomes more engaged and your business becomes more profitable because you're no longer creating content for the algorithms. You're creating content or connection points for the people you are meant to serve. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And the difference between a podcast hobby and a podcast business is that because you are now creating your connection points for the people that you are meant to serve. So here's my final encouragement. Don't measure your success around the size of your audience. Measure it by the depth of the impact and the quality of your conversations. That is your metric. Okay. Now, if you're ready to design your own conversation architecture that really helps to move the needle, or a system that turns your podcast into a lead generation machine, then I would love to help you out. I would love to help you out in that endeavor. All you have to do is click on the link that's going to be below this video, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Spotify, whether you are watching it on one of my social media platforms. Then just simply get and book a complimentary call with me. And let's build your podcast around the purpose, the people, and the profit. So I hope you're enjoying these live episodes that I'm doing. As you know, this will be on Facebook, and where I'm recording live right now, it will be on Facebook, but Facebook after 30 days removes your live call. So you definitely want to subscribe. Okay. You want to subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you listen to, podcasts on. But make sure you book a complimentary session. Okay. That's my clear call to action. So until next time, keep showing up, keep serving, and remember, get organized, get heard, and get leads. All right. I will talk to you soon. Have an amazingly blessed day.